What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Forexfunded coming at you with another weekly analysis for this upcoming week, October 5th, 2025. As always, links will be in the description. The chart analysis where you can follow along with all of my trades, all of my analysis, get education from me, chat rooms, Instagram for past trade results, etc. Um, so check us out. Come win with us. Let's get into it. So last week, if you guys remember, um, last weekly analysis. So this is Monday, so we did our analysis over here. I was expecting price to come up further and then to attack 38.15 and 38.55, which we got in the first 2 days, and then we ended up tapping weekly target 3, which is that big 38.95. Basically, I'm gonna be expecting very similar for this week, right? If you look at how price reacted from that big range point, we pulled back, which is common, right? We just did what, $130 from the open, 130, and then another 130. Well, not another 130, but 130 up, and then you're gonna pull back, right? If you take a look at the respect for the range point, that tells me all I need to know, right? Notice how we reject the upper range point, we come to the lower, and we keep our bodies in line. Same with over here. We shot up, we kept our bodies in line, and then Friday we had a nice bullish close. It could have been nicer. It could have looked like this week where we're attempting to engulf the wicks, but it's all right. We're not talking about last week. We're talking about this week. So this week, I am expecting price to come and attack into this next $160 range. I believe we should start trading in there from 38.95 to 40.55. So as always, weekly targets just based off of the range would be 39.35, 39.75, 40.15, and 40.55, right? Very unlikely that we're going to see all the way up here 40.55 this week, but the first two definitely should be seen. You can also look for a retest, right? So assuming we do break, you can look for a retest of the prior range point to continue towards the second weekly target. But as always, if you need our entries, you got to join our Discord. Going down to the 4-hour chart, you can see here that price is giving us a lot of good pullbacks, right? So from the prior low to the high, we had a nice golden zone touch, which does tell you next target based off of that fib is going to be 39.13. Then after you continued up again, low to your high, you had another 50 fib with perfect respect. This was, end of New York, and then here Asian session came in to retest 50 one more time. That's where we ended up getting some buys, and then we got a second round of buys in New York session. So that fib tells you 23, right? So 23 to what was it, like 13. That's in the middle of that $40 range. So the midpoint would be 15, right? Which is in there, well, the lower end of it. But 15 is the area we'll come to next. Once we break it, we'll come towards 15. That's where you'd want to look for the retest and the resumption. You can also mark up the prior highs, because a thing that gold does more often than not when we're in this price discovery is it will retest the highs. It will try to, right? It did it over here. Here were your highs. And you can see you came to retest it. It might not always tap exactly into it, but highs mixed with range point, it's a high probability area that we end up seeing it. Yeah, based off of this current price, I don't think I don't think the market is going to open up and start selling, right? I really don't. But if it does, the area that I'd be looking at, the fib I would be looking at, if you go from this low to this high, you can see you already used 50. So I'm not going to want to use that one. I'm going to want to use that 50 rejection. Because if you look, that wasn't a 50, that was a 38. So for me, that low is still open, right? And it's like I teach you guys, even if you do go and say, let me use that low to this high, your smaller golden zone will be 38 and your smaller 78 will be in the golden zone. So it doesn't really matter what fib you use in this exact example. But that's what I would be looking at, right? If we do pull back, I would look for that golden zone, and then I would look to take price up above highs towards 39.06, and then, try our hardest to swing it all week. I really don't see this low getting broke this week. Obviously, anything can happen. We can break that 1 hour low at 38.18 and still have no problem being bullish, but I really don't see it breaking. Because like I said, I think the higher probability thing is going to be that we just open up bullish like last week. Here was where we opened last week with a no wick candle. You just started pumping. This is the other kind of setup you can try to look for. So if you mark up the prior highs over here from before market closed, once you engulf it, you can look for a pullback. Like here, you have an order block that was formed. So the pullback is nice. It's probably also a fib level, low to high. Oh, that's close enough. You have a 50 fib. So you can look for that kind of setup based off of the current highs, right? So I'll just put that little white line for you guys. Um, if you're able to engulf that, depending on how it engulfs it, if it just opens up straight with the open for the week, wait for the candle to close. I would wait for at least a 15-minute. You still could get hunted, so an hour might be better. But also, one thing you have to keep in mind is you do need to be careful, because if you look over here, we have a double top, right? Kind of a triple top now. It is kind of the same setup as over here, but I would have told you the same thing. You need to be careful. You need to make sure that you end up staying above the prior all-time high. That was prior all-time high. You need to make sure you stay above it. So with that being said, take that same line, put it at your all-time high. You want to make sure that you're above that line. That is a danger zone line. I'll make it orange. I'll make it yellow. You want to make sure you're above that line when you break out. And then look, you can look to take it to whatever target you like. Me personally, I would be looking at wherever the daily ATR is, which is what this indicator is. It's been about $51 for the past couple of days. So look to take it $50 from wherever the low of the day is, but the indicator makes it easy. It's this indicator right here. NIM FX ATR levels. Simple. I'm not gonna gatekeep. But it will likely be somewhere around 35, right? From current price, $50 is a little bit above that, right? So from current price, $50 is a little bit above it. But in general, just look to take it to that next range point. That's a good amount of pips for you to collect on a Sunday. And that's the two things I'd be looking for. I'd be looking for the breakout, possible breakout entry, or the retest, or I'm going to look for the fib pullback. Aside from that, I don't really, there's nothing else for me to say, nothing else for me to do. So as always, hopefully this video was informative to you guys. If you're not already a member of the best trading community on social media, check out the chart analysis service in the description. At the end of the day, I'm so confident in my ability to help you and to make you make money and to help you make money, that there's a free week trial. So join for a week. If you don't fucking make money, if I'm a fucking fraud, just cancel, right? But I know I'm not, because at the end of the day, I pay all my bills off of trading. So hope to see some new faces soon, and hope you guys had a wonderful weekend.